Hi, I'm Terry Murphy from the Women's Wisdom Network, senior editor for Realty Times, Women in Business, Women in Real Estate, and in the men's room with Murph. And we have a great man in the men's room today. His name is Michael Combs. He is an amazing person. Now, we have authors, we have speakers, we have pilots, we had Captain Charlie Plum, but we never had one that does everything. And here's his book, Our Last Christmas Wish, a powerful story of hope and redemption that's unforgettable. It totally is. Welcome, Michael Combs.
Terry, thank you so much. That's such a great greeting. Thank you.
Well, it's only the beginning because you're one of those neurotic overachievers that, we all love to hate. I mean, you're an author, you write music, which by the way, we're going to talk about later, a meditation composer. This whole thing came from some a serious way that God got your attention. And that was how the book was born. Can you just give us a little journey? I mean, here you are, Michael Combs, you've got a book, you've done some outrageously outstanding things that have affected 30 to 50,000 people. I mean, yay for you. Give us some scoop on Michael Combs.
Uh, I tell you, I've lived a fairly normal life. I've always been someone who likes to climb cliffs, for instance, when I lived in Colorado, and just crazy things that guys do. But I it was in August of '03 that my heart stopped, literally stopped. Um, and you speak of that walk with God. Well, I certainly was there. The near-death experience that people talk of is real. Let me tell you, it's very real. And I know we don't have all the time in the world to go into all of the details there, but I came away from that experience with the promise to the Lord to be His in whatever way He saw fit. Well, after that, I was laying flat on my back. I was in a miserable condition, Terry, and I really was wondering, why did He bring me back? Why am I here? Well, 40 hours later to the minute, it happened again. My heart stopped again. And
And do we know why? Just wanted a break? I mean, what happened?
that's a great question. It's caused from a weakening heart, is what it was diagnosed to be. And I've had arrhythmia for a long time prior to that, and my heart just kept getting weaker and weaker until it just gave out. Well, as I recovered, I was in a pretty sad state. My memory was gone. In other words, if you and I had known each other before, you would walk in the room, I would recognize your face, but wouldn't know your name or how we met. It was the same with my kids and
Wow.
the home that I built up in the mountains of Colorado. I couldn't remember any of that. So starting fresh in life literally was an interesting experience to say the least. But as I recovered, it got to the point where a life goal, for instance, was to sit in a chair in the living room for an hour without passing out. That was a life goal of mine. Once I was able to accomplish that, then it was to be able to go outside and see the sun once again, have the sun on my face was a life goal. And so that's where I really started this whole journey that led to this book and beyond. Um, it was interesting because that happened in August, and it was about 8 weeks later. I was just laying in bed, and I just heard this voice. I call it the voice of God, a calling that I had to fly an airplane into all 50 states.
Yeah.
And
One minute you just want to sit in a chair, and the next minute it's, hey, let's go flying.
yeah,
Um, I,
exactly.
I'd be concerned. Yes.
Well, and boy, you emphasized that point very well. Let me tell you, I had an oxygen tube in my
Oh,
nose.
yeah. Okay. Let's
I
just
had
take all this equipment with us.
exactly.
Yeah.
I had no money. I had no airplane and
Oh,
no pilot's license.
kind of a key thing, the plane at least.
Yeah, exactly. But from that moment on, I started to say, I am a pilot. I kept saying that to myself over and over again. I am a pilot. I am a pilot. And lo and behold, through the years that transpired from there, the flight for the human spirit was born and was able to get my pilot's license, able to raise the funds that we needed. We had an airplane. That's a beautiful little two-seater aircraft, and I did fly that airplane into all 50 states, literally into all 50 states. And I've talked to a lot of pilots, and they've said, "Well, I've flown into all 50 states." And I'm like, "Well, how did you get to Alaska?" "Well, I didn't fly to Alaska."
Oh, okay.
So when I say 50 states, it's the 50 stars on the flag, those 50 states.
What you're not saying is 30,000 people. I mean, if you go to the Facebook page, 30 to 50,000 people, transcontinental.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Oh, and let me just say, it's 30 million people that we have reached through that
Oh,
plan.
I'm sorry, 30 million. What am I
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, well, I was never good with fractions.
No, that's fine. We reached people literally all around the planet. Even I was written as a feature article in several articles in China for a flying magazine there. I mean, it's amazing what we've been able to do. And my full message behind that was to never, ever give up on your dreams. And we've inspired people to open restaurants, to mend relationships with family members, of course, to get pilot licenses, when they were inclined. And that message of never ever giving up on your dreams
Well,
still resounds deep in my heart.
well, it should, because it set 6 world records, reaching 30 million people with that message. The plane resides right now in a prestigious aviation museum in Denver, Colorado. How,
Yes.
so it had to be something divine, because having been where God stopped you in your tracks with all the tubes and whatever, and then you go, oh, hey, Michelle, we're gonna be flying. She'd be like, sure, honey, take an aspirin, lie down. Uh, but that's just one of the things you've done. There's painting, but you know what? I chose to spotlight you. I say we chose to spotlight you on this book because we are coming into the holidays, and never, I mean, in our lifetimes anyway, has there never been such a tough time to see the pony in the pile, the roadblock as a gift. A lot of people have, there's the disruption and the transition that happens, is an interesting, it's an interesting time, and the book seems timely. And this isn't the kind of, I mean, I'm reading so many boring books that are, no, they're very informative and they're good, but they are not in this realm. And you fall in love with the characters. It's a story. Tell us about Chris.
Chris is an interesting compilation of people that I've met, as well as this bigger than life person. When
Kind of
he
like
when
you.
he came out, no, he's not me. Believe me, I'm not that big in any way that Chris is. Let me tell you, he's got a heart of gold. He's got a passion for everything that he does, and large in stature as well. And as I developed these characters, and I did spend the time really to develop every character in there. Who are they? And to let you into a weird author's mind, which I will proudly claim that title. I mean, I sat down and had conversations with Chris just to really get to know who he was
So there really
before
was
I
Chris.
before I wrote the book. Yes,
Wow. How interesting.
yes,
Uh,
but
and we don't want to give anything away, but it does talk about the fact that he had to face some pretty interesting challenges. Uh,
sure.
but but really, what comes out of it is this whole never give up kind of thing. Would you agree?
I would agree, and likewise, I think to live your life with passion, because Chris brought that out of everyone that he met in through the pages in the book. And it was just very infectious. And I've seen it likewise, Terry, with people like yourself who have read the book and feel the same way. There's just such passion behind those words.
Well, it's not only that, but you say things in here, and I just want to quote a couple of them. How cruel, interesting word, time can be. It never ceases or slows down enough for us to make the most of each minute or of each and every month. Oh, if we only could embrace these moments more closely while they're happening, cherish them, and revel in the deep thankfulness for the love and friendship with others. Uh, you know, we all say, oh, live in the moment. We're like, okay, you don't know how miserable I am in this moment, or I don't think you understand. I've got dishes, I've got bills, I've got people, but you really show us how to be better givers, and how we can change lives in ways that we don't, I like to say, that go beyond our knowing.
Thank you. Thank you. Mission accomplished with the book. Um, it grabbed me with every page that I wrote, and it wasn't a pre-planned story. Um, and so to watch this book, and I've since learned to write every book like I did with Our Last Christmas Wish, where I don't know the ending. I don't know how it's going to go. I will just sit down and write the next chapter and see what happens to these wonderful people. And
Yeah, I think they call it divine intervention because the story is so transparent. It's so authentic. I mean, you're sitting there eating pancakes with Vermont's maple syrup, even though you know it's not on your diet. I mean, you are definitely in the story, and I would urge people to, in a time where we need to be wrapped in that warm, safe blanket. We need to be readjusted. I think you would agree with me, having had my own little, altercation with the Life Stopper, that you said something earlier about just wanting to sit in the sun, and there's a sacred in the ordinary, to quote Sarah Van Branek. There's such a sacred in the ordinary, and when you don't focus on that, you can't see it. And so this book makes us want to focus on that. Let's talk a little bit about your art. So not only can this man be adorable and fly and have beautiful children and a wonderful wife, you've got this unique piece called The Glimpse, and it is quite lovely. Now, what medium did you use? Is that pencil?
With The Glimpse, I used oil on canvas. Yes.
And tell-
But I do typically oil on canvas. I do a lot of digital painting, which has been very freeing for me because it's a good way to practice and not make the mistakes that are as permanent as you do with oil. I can try different brushes and things like that. And likewise, acrylic as well. And I've even tried some poured acrylics, but they're a little bit different than what most of the poured acrylics are that you find on YouTube, for instance. I will finish it and then step back and look at it and say, what is this? What shape is this? Who is this? And then build those paintings from there, where I'll go back and start to paint over them by hand and enhance whatever that image is.
Like I said, they took away my crayons as a children so we could leave them for people like you that are talented. You also wrote music. The passion that you've written in this album is The Summons of Health.
Yes.
Now, how do you do that? I mean, how do you do that? Can I ask you how you do that? Because
yes, absolutely. And I tell you, I have to cheat with that because music to me is a gift. When I was 7 years old, my mom, for some reason, got me into accordion lessons, which,
come on, everybody got into accordion.
yeah, man, I tell you, it's not a chick magnet when you get to high school, let me tell you.
What is your name? Comarino? I mean, every Italian kid gets accordion lessons.
Yeah, and I had my little autograph photo of Myron Florin from the Lawrence Welk show on my wall. And
anybody under 30 is not going to understand
no,
that.
they're not. They're not. But look him up.
That. Yeah.
So anyway,
wow.
What I found, Terry, is that instrument and music in general just it unleashed a gift that is within me. When I did get into high school, I started to pick up the piano, and I just fell in love with classical music. And I would take the buttons on the accordion and learn what a C major chord is by playing with my left hand, and just developed the art of writing music at that time. And it's been a true gift because, to answer your question now, with that background, I can literally sit down and write a song. And this particular collection of music is a wonderful collection. This is near and dear to my heart. But I will typically write a song, sleep on it, and if it resonates the next day with me, then I will develop it further. But so many things that we do in life, we just don't grab as well as we should.
Well, you talk about that in the book, but just first of all, we'll talk about where to get all of
Sure.
some of your work. But The Summons of Health has music for recovery, and we all know people who are in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Hope, It's Going to Be Okay. praying for healing. You know, healing is dis-ease. And so that healing comes, a lot of it comes from how we are in our bodies. And surviving on dreams, breath of life, floating on water. I like that one. Hope at sunrise. Hope at sunrise. Again, you know, you talk, to me, it all ties together, Michael, because when I look at the book, creating joy by focusing on what you do have, not what you don't, and then finding something to celebrate in any situation. Mending a broken bone is one of the pieces, and Drawn to Pure Water. Tell me about that one.
Drawn to Pure Water is actually one of my personal favorites in that collection. It's and this whole album really is a mixture of electronic synthesizers with orchestral music, which is, it's been tried before, but as my son, who's a music major, said, he says, this is different. He says, you have revolutionized the way music is being written by this collection of songs. And that one really has some mechanical sounds that are actual mechanical sounds made from a mechanic who took an engine apart and started to just hit like a cylinder with a screwdriver. And so I just implemented some of those sounds into this particular piece and set it to music. It's just, I just love that song.
Well, it clearly it calls all of us because it's a remarkable album. And you know, it's interesting that you know, your character had a terminal illness. You fought for life twice, and that, you know, we hear about people who've had near-death experiences or out-of-body experiences. At the end of the day, the experience for you was real, and it gave you this childlike wonder that you got to reestablish yourself. You know, losing memory does give us an issue because we don't have reference, but there's new references. And so I think you learned so much. I would just so encourage everyone to look at this book as a gift. Where can they get this gift? And I understand, before I go there, that it's also on Audible, and you, the author, dictated. How awesome is that?
The Audible book, the audio book of that in particular is just a very rich experience. Not only did I read the entire book, which is a great experience for anybody to do, because it's
Makes you
very
want to
enlightening for
read.
an author.
It's a challenge. Yes,
Yes,
it is.
it is. It's a lot harder to do than people realize when they listen to an author reading his or her own works, let me tell you. But what I love about that is I also scored all of the music that goes with it. So
Well, you had to show off. You know, the rest was just, you can hardly read. Okay.
sorry, I wasn't anticipating
Like,
your,
I looked the
your
cover,
interview.
I did the art for the back. Okay, we were gonna like you. Oh, you're so delightful. Well, tell us how, first of all, tell us the kind of work you're doing now. Are you speaking, writing, consulting, doing any kind of other work besides just creation?
You know, creation is a lot, but I do speak. Anybody that wants me to come out, I will go anywhere and speak about life in general and just living life to its fullest. And so many people over the recent last few years have wanted me to talk about the Flight for the Human Spirit, which of course is an incredible journey, but to incorporate that experience with the fact that anybody has greatness in them. Every single one of us has a hero inside of us, Terry. And it doesn't have to be a daily experience, but something that we bring out of ourselves at a moment's notice. And likewise, living life with passion, which I have had my share of health concerns, but and I have to tell you, I have headaches every day, for instance. But if I have a headache that lets up at 11 o'clock in the morning, then at 11:01, I am up and living my life with passion. And that's what I bring out when I speak to people. And that's what I bring out in all of my works, really.
Well, we need to be reminded that there is power in the moment, because that's really all you have.
Yes.
So if I wanted the book, I can go to Amazon and get it.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, the audiobooks on Audible, and Amazon as well. And of course, our website has everything as well.
I would encourage people to go to, it's HS Flight, isn't it? HS
Close, Flight HS.
Flight. Well, yeah, like I said,
.com.
good, Flight HS.
Right.
And just kind of follow that, because I mean, whether you're into aviation or not, it's a remarkable story. Imagine one little person amassing 50 million people with the same frequency. I think that's just awesome. And then tell us a little bit about your paintings. It's Saatchi Art.
Yes, Saatchi has a good collection where you can buy prints and framed prints and matted prints, and they're just a great resource for us.
Well, the glimpse, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The glimpse is actually, tell us just a little bit about that piece. It kind of looks just like a scene kind of thing.
Exactly, and that's what the name is a glimpse for a reason. It's basically a person the viewer of that painting will be driving or walking down this road and look over to the right and see this nice meadowy scene. But the glimpse in itself is, if you look up in the clouds, I've depicted heaven up in the clouds. If you look at the clouds, there's the face of God staring at heaven. There's a very faint line of light coming from heaven, shining down on the hill below, where the path kind of leads in an offbeat way, just in a person's mind. So that's it's a painting that just, I just love to look at it, because it just is something that offers hope to each and every one of us.
It's Saatchi, Saatchi Art. You know, it's not fair that one person would have to go through what you've had to go through, but because of it, and your family, I mean, it affects everyone.
Absolutely.
But to give us these gifts that go on beyond your knowing. I mean, people will read this book at Christmas, and you know, our goal as influencers is to help people look at things differently. And clearly you've done that exquisitely well, both in your art and your music, and of course this book. Michael, I hope you'll join us again. Again, give us your email address in case someone wants to contact you.
The best way, I'm going to go old school and just say combsmusic@msn.com. We have all kinds of other email addresses, but that's the one that goes right to me more than the others do. So
excellent. Well, I just want you to know that we've completely bored your dog to death. Your dog is behind you. And what is that little dog's name?
His name is Augie.
Augie, he's been an impressive part of our interview. Thank you very much for arranging that. I'm sure it was just for me, because but have a wonderful holiday with your family. And thank you again for sharing such a personal, deeply intimate and personal experience with so many people. You have helped us see a new light. Thank you, Michael.
Terry, thank you. And I appreciate your time. And on behalf of everybody that follows you, I want to offer a thanks to you for your inspiration to so many people. You reach more than you realize that you do as well. And I just want to thank you while I have this opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you. Now don't make me cry, because the makeup will run. But
we're at the end, right? We're at the end.
Yeah, we're at the end. So thank you very much for joining us. And we hope you'll join us again soon. I'm Terry Murphy for In the Men's Room with Murph with Michael Combs. Make sure you get this book for your holiday.